Have you ever wondered why your mind panics before your body ever faces real danger? Why a single thought can shake you harder than an actual storm? What if the true battlefield was never outside you, but inside your mind? And what if you could train it to stay calm in every situation? Before we go deeper, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself in a moment when everything felt like it was collapsing at once. Your plans, your confidence, your sense of control. Now imagine a version of yourself who doesn't break in that moment, but becomes sharper, stronger, steadier. That version of you is possible. That version of you is already inside you. It's just waiting to be trained. Here's the truth most people never hear: your mind is always listening. It listens to your fear, your doubts, your insecurities, your late night worries. And the more you let those thoughts run wild, the louder they become. Calm doesn't come from avoiding chaos, it comes from mastering how you respond to it. That is the moment everything changes. Around the 12-second mark, I want you to lock onto this single idea. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to feed, which thoughts to silence, and which thoughts to replace. The moment you understand that, you become powerful in a way most people never experience. Let me take you back to a simple moment. A young person once told me they felt overwhelmed every morning, before the day even began. Not because anything bad had happened, but because they kept replaying imaginary disasters. Their mind was reacting to problems that didn't exist. And I asked them one question. If your mind can create fear from nothing, imagine what it could create if you gave it clarity, discipline, and calm. That question changed their life. Maybe it can change yours too. Calm is not a personality trait. It's not something some people are born with and others are denied. Calm is a daily training. You practice it the same way you practice strength. You build it through awareness. You build it by slowing down when your instincts scream to speed up. You build it by recognizing that every reaction is a choice, not an automatic reflex. A calm mind is not a quiet mind. It's a disciplined mind. And when you master that discipline, you start living in a way that makes chaos irrelevant. This is where transformation truly begins. Think about the moments when you've lost your calm, not the big dramatic events. Those are obvious. I'm talking about the small triggers. The comment someone made that stayed in your head for hours. The unexpected change in plans that made you tense. The mistake you replayed 100 times even though it was already over. These moments seem insignificant, but they reveal something powerful. The mind is always practicing something. It's either practicing panic or practicing calm. And most people don't even realize which one they're training. You see, the mind loves patterns. It loves repetition. If you react with frustration every time something goes differently than you expected, the mind memorizes that. If you spiral into fear every time you face uncertainty, the mind stores that too. Eventually it becomes automatic, not because it's who you are, but because it's what you've practiced. And the greatest breakthrough you can have is realizing that you can retrain those patterns. You can rewire how your mind responds to stress. Calm is not the absence of emotion. It's the strength to guide your emotion instead of being guided by it. I remember speaking to someone who always felt overwhelmed at work. Everything triggered them: deadlines, emails, meetings. They thought they had a stress problem. But in reality, they had a training problem. They had spent years practicing tension. They had strengthened the mental muscles of panic until panic became familiar. And here's the incredible part: once they understood this, they also realized something else. If panic can be trained, so can calm. If fear can become automatic, then so can clarity. So they started small. Before reacting to anything, they paused for 3 seconds. That was it. 3 seconds. Just enough time to shift from instinct to intention. And those 3 seconds became their anchor. They noticed something astonishing. The less they rushed, the more control they gained. The slower they reacted, the smarter they responded. One day they told me, "I didn't just become calmer, I became stronger." And that's the truth most people never understand. Calm is power. Calm is clarity. Calm is confidence. When you're calm, you don't shrink in the face of pressure. You rise above it. Every moment of your day is an opportunity to strengthen that calm. Every challenge is a chance to train your mind to stay steady. And with each repetition, you become someone who isn't shaken by circumstance, but shaped by purpose. This is how you begin building the foundation of an unbreakable mind. Have you ever noticed that the loudest moments in your life often come from the quietest place? Your own mind. Silence can feel heavier than noise. A single thought can flood your entire system. And when you don't know how to command those thoughts, your mind starts controlling you instead of you controlling it. But here's the truth: your mind is not your enemy. It is simply untrained. It reacts fast, it assumes danger, it jumps to conclusion, because that's what an untrained mind does. Training your mind to be calm means teaching it to pause, to breathe, to question its own automatic reactions. Most people never question their thoughts. A thought appears and they accept it as truth. If the mind says, "This is going to go wrong," they believe it. If the mind whispers, "You're not ready," they surrender. But what if every thought was simply a suggestion, not an order? What if you didn't have to obey the first voice that speaks inside your head? A calm mind understands this. A trained mind knows the difference between a thought that serves you and a thought that sabotages you. Let me tell you a story. There was a person who always imagined the worst possible outcome. Every situation turned into a mental disaster. If they had a conversation coming up, they imagined rejection. If they had a presentation, they imagined failure. If they tried something new, they imagined embarrassment. But none of these things ever happened. Their panic came from a movie they kept replaying in their mind. And one day they realized something powerful. They were the filmmaker. They were the director. They were the scriptwriter. If they could create frightening stories with their imagination, they could create empowering ones too. So they began rewriting. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? They started asking, what if this works better than I imagined? Instead of imagining embarrassment, they imagined growth. Instead of fearing judgment, they envisioned courage. And something incredible happened. Their body began responding to the new story. Calmer breathing, steadier posture, stronger mindset. This wasn't magic. This was training. Your mind responds to the story you tell it. If you feed it chaos, it will project chaos. If you feed it fear, it will amplify fear. But if you feed it calm, you give it permission to settle. You give it permission to be your ally instead of your obstacle. Calm isn't the ending. It's the beginning. Because once your mind becomes calm, you finally gain the clarity to see your life as it truly is, not as your fears pretend it to be. When life throws challenges your way, have you ever asked yourself why some people stay composed while others completely unravel? It's not because they're braver, smarter, or stronger. It's because they've built an inner system, a mental framework that doesn't collapse under pressure. Calm isn't just a feeling, it's a structure you build inside yourself. And just like any structure, it needs a foundation. Without it, even the smallest uncertainty can make your entire emotional world shake. The foundation of a calm mind begins with understanding what you can control and letting go of what you can't. Most stress doesn't come from reality. It comes from resisting reality. It comes from fighting situations you cannot change, replaying outcomes you cannot alter, and worrying about opinions you cannot manage. Imagine how much energy you waste trying to bend the world to your expectations. Now imagine redirecting that same energy toward the things you can actually shape: your reactions, your choices, your focus, your inner state. That is where calm is built. I once met someone who felt defeated by every setback. If plans changed, they panicked. If someone disappointed them, they spiraled. If life didn't go the way they expected, they lost all sense of balance. And they believed something was wrong with them, that they were weak or overly emotional. But the truth was far simpler. They were trying to control what was never theirs to control. They were holding the steering wheel of a car they weren't even driving. Once they understood this, everything shifted. They began separating life into two categories: what belongs to them and what doesn't. Their attitude belongs to them. Their efforts belong to them. Their behavior belongs to them. But other people's reactions, not theirs. The past, not theirs. Random circumstances, not theirs. This simple separation freed them. It gave them space to breathe. It allowed calm to enter where pressure once lived. As they practiced this mindset, they discovered something profound. Calm is not passive. Calm is active. It's not sitting still and doing nothing. It's choosing your response with intention. It's slowing down your emotional reaction so you can speed up your inner clarity. It's refusing to be controlled by things that are not part of your responsibility. That is where true calm comes from: aligning your energy with what you can influence and releasing the rest. A calm mind doesn't avoid storms. It navigates them with wisdom. And the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you gain the strength to control everything that truly matters. Have you ever noticed how quickly fear spreads in your mind, even when there's no real danger? It's like a wildfire igniting from a single spark, consuming your thoughts, your focus, your peace. But here's the secret few people realize: if fear only has the power you give it. It cannot control you unless you hand it the keys. And that is exactly what training your mind to remain calm teaches you: how to take the keys back. Calm is not the absence of fear. Calm is the mastery over it. I remember speaking to someone who was terrified of failure. Every project, every opportunity, every conversation felt like a test they were destined to fail. They carried this fear everywhere. And what they didn't realize was that fear itself wasn't the problem. It was their response to it. They let it dictate their behavior, make decisions, and steal energy. Once they began separating the fear from their action, everything changed. Fear became information, not a dictator. It told them where caution was needed, where preparation mattered, but it no longer paralyzed them. That is the essence of a calm mind, responding thoughtfully rather than reacting automatically. Calm is also about presence. Most people are either living in the past or worrying about the future. They are replaying mistakes, imagining disasters, predicting failures that haven't happened yet. And because of this, their mind is constantly in motion, like a boat tossed by waves. But a calm mind anchors itself in the present. It recognizes that the only moment you truly own is this one. The past is a memory, the future is a projection, but this moment is power. This moment is clarity, this moment is your choice. Another key to building this calm is repetition. Your mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you train it. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe instead of panic, every time you choose clarity over chaos, you are strengthening that mental muscle. And over time, situations that once triggered anxiety or anger now meet a steady, composed response. This is how calm becomes automatic, how resilience becomes instinct. Finally, understand this: calm is contagious. When you cultivate it, it radiates to others. People notice it, respond to it, mirror it. And more importantly, it protects your energy, allowing you to make better decisions, inspire confidence, and lead yourself and others through challenges without falling apart. Calm is the quiet power that changes everything, the invisible force that makes the unmanageable manageable, the storm navigable. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where everything around you was chaos, yet one person seemed completely unshaken? You may have admired them, wondering, how can they stay so composed? The truth is, they weren't born that way. Calm is not an innate trait, it's a learned skill, cultivated through practice, awareness, and intention. The difference between those who crumble and those who remain steady is not circumstance, it's preparation. The first step in training your mind is awareness. You must notice the moments when your thoughts spiral out of control. Maybe it's during a difficult conversation. Maybe it's when a project isn't going as planned. Maybe it's when your body reacts faster than your brain. The moment you recognize these patterns, you gain the power to intervene. Awareness is the foundation of control. You can't steer a car you don't realize is moving, and you can't master your mind if you're blind to its reactions. Once you have awareness, the next step is intentional response. Most people react automatically. They react before thinking. But calm is built when you pause, even for a single breath, and choose your response deliberately. This isn't weakness or avoidance, it's strength. Strength lies in choosing how to respond rather than allowing instinct or emotion to dictate your behavior. This pause, however brief, creates a window where clarity emerges and chaos loses its grip. There's also an essential practice most overlooked: reframing. When something triggers fear, stress, or anger, your mind naturally interprets it as a threat. But what if it isn't a threat? What if it's simply a challenge, a lesson, or an opportunity? By reframing situations in this way, you change your internal narrative. The same event that could have caused panic now becomes fuel for composure. You are training your mind to see potential rather than danger, to notice possibilities rather than limitations. Finally, repetition solidifies calm into habit. It's not enough to be mindful once or twice, your mind must practice calm daily. Each pause, each deep breath, each intentional response is a repetition that strengthens mental resilience. Over time, calm becomes automatic, not forced. You no longer need to remind yourself to stay composed, it becomes the default setting. And the incredible thing is, once your mind is calm, everything else aligns. Decisions become clearer, relationships become steadier, challenges become manageable, and your life begins to flow with a sense of power and peace that chaos can't touch. Have you ever noticed how much time people spend reacting instead of responding? They rush, they panic, they argue, they make choices from emotion rather than clarity. And yet, in every situation, there is a choice to react impulsively or to respond intentionally. The difference is calm. Calm is not waiting for the storm to pass. Calm is learning how to move through without being swept away. It is a mindset, a muscle, a daily practice that transforms the way you experience life. The mind is powerful, but is also highly impressionable. It will take the path of least resistance if left untrained. Left unchecked, it will automatically assume the worst, exaggerate problems, and multiply stress. That's why training the mind to remain calm is essential. You are not controlling the world, you are controlling how the world affects you. That is the ultimate form of freedom. It is not easy at first. Old habits resist change, but the rewards are beyond measure. One of the most important practices for cultivating calm is conscious breathing. It may sound simple, but few people ever use it intentionally. When stress rises, your body reacts, your heart beats faster, your muscles tense, your thoughts scatter. A few conscious breaths, deep, slow, deliberate, act like a reset button for your nervous system. They create a pause, a break in the automatic loop of fear and tension. That pause is where choice enters, where calm begins, and where power grows. Every time you breathe intentionally in a stressful moment, you are training your mind to remain steady no matter what surrounds you. Another key element is self-talk. The words you repeat to yourself shape the reality you experience. If you constantly tell yourself, "I can't handle this," your mind believes it. If you repeat, "This is overwhelming," your body reacts as if it is. But if you replace those statements with, "I can respond with clarity," or "I have handled challenges before and I can do it again," you are rewiring your mind. You are teaching it to approach situations with calm confidence rather than chaotic fear. It is a deliberate, daily habit that compounds into resilience over time. Finally, practice presence. Stop living in the what-ifs or the regrets. Calm exists only in the present. When you train your mind to fully inhabit the moment, distractions lose their grip, emotions stabilize, and clarity emerges. Calm is not a passive state, it is a decision. And each time you choose it, your mind grows stronger, sharper, and unbreakable. This is how true mastery begins. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to face chaos and uncertainty with a quiet confidence, while others crumble under pressure? It's not luck, talent, or circumstance, it's their mindset. A calm mind doesn't just happen, it is intentionally cultivated. It is trained to respond with clarity, focus, and resilience no matter the situation. And the key to this mastery lies in understanding one simple truth. You are not your emotions, and you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the director, the one who decides which thoughts and emotions get to lead your life. Most people confuse emotion with reality. Anger feels like injustice. Fear feels like danger. Anxiety feels like certainty. But these feelings are signals, not commands. They are indicators that something requires attention, reflection, or action. But they are not the solution itself. A calm mind doesn't deny emotion, it acknowledges it, examines it, and then decides the appropriate response. This is where power lies. This is where transformation begins. It is not in fighting the emotion, but in mastering it. I remember speaking to someone who constantly worried about making mistakes. Every decision, no matter how small, caused anxiety. They believed that panic was inevitable and that mistakes would define them. But then they learned to step back and observe their thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky. This thought is not me, they told themselves. It is a visitor. I can acknowledge it and let it pass. Over time, this practice created a mental space where calm became the default. Anxiety no longer controlled their actions. It became information to navigate rather than a force to obey. Calm is built through deliberate repetition. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you breathe before responding, each time you consciously choose clarity over chaos, you are strengthening your mental resilience. Over time, the mind stops defaulting to panic or stress. It starts responding with wisdom, focus, and stability. Calm becomes instinctive. It becomes your signature in the way you handle life, and it becomes a protective shield against external chaos. The final secret to a calm mind is perspective. Most of our stress comes from giving undue importance to events or opinions. A calm mind understands what truly matters and what doesn't. It focuses energy where it can make a difference and releases everything else. In mastering this, you gain freedom, freedom from chaos, freedom from reaction, and freedom from the unnecessary weight that most people carry. Calm is not passive, it is the most active, deliberate form of strength you can develop. Have you ever noticed how a single moment of panic can undo hours, days, even years of effort? One hasty reaction, one uncontrolled emotion, one impulsive decision, and suddenly everything feels out of control. Yet the truth is you don't have to live like this. Calm is not a distant goal or a rare gift. It is a skill that can be trained, practiced, and strengthened every single day. And the moment you understand this, you reclaim power over your mind, your choices, and your life. The first step is recognizing that your mind is like a garden. If you allow weeds of fear, doubt, and panic to grow unchecked, they take over. But if you plant seeds of clarity, patience, and intentionality, those grow stronger. Every thought you choose to nurture shapes the way you experience reality. Calm is cultivated thought by thought, decision by decision. It is the conscious effort to decide what deserves your energy and what does not. And just like a garden, this requires daily attention, care, and persistence. One of the most powerful techniques for cultivating calm is visualization. Before a stressful event, imagine yourself responding with composure. Picture yourself breathing slowly, thinking clearly, and taking deliberate action. When you mentally rehearse calmness, your brain begins to accept it as reality. The body responds accordingly, and over time, the mind becomes naturally steady in real life situations. This is the hidden strength of a trained mind. It knows exactly how to navigate challenges before they even occur. Another essential aspect of calm is acceptance. Many people fight reality, resist circumstances, and argue with what is. This resistance is exhausting. It drains energy and magnifies stress. A calm mind practices acceptance. It doesn't mean resignation or passivity. It means seeing the situation clearly, acknowledging the facts, and then deciding how to respond wisely. Once you stop wasting energy on what cannot be changed, you gain clarity, focus, and freedom to act effectively where it truly matters. Finally, remember this calm is contagious. When you are composed, others around you mirror that energy. Your calm creates space for thoughtful decisions, constructive conversations, and clear thinking. You become a stabilizing force in a world full of chaos. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe, every time you choose clarity over panic, you are building mental resilience that cannot be shaken. This is how leaders are forged. This is how unbreakable minds are created. This is your path to mastering life itself. Now imagine the life you could live if your mind never betrayed you. If in every moment of uncertainty, every challenge, every confrontation, you remained grounded, composed, and clear. This is not a dream. It is a choice. Calm is not the absence of storms. It is the skill to navigate them with precision, courage, and clarity. And that skill, like any other, is built intentionally day by day, moment by moment. The question is, will you choose to train your mind? Or will you let it control you? The first step is awareness. Begin noticing when your thoughts spiral, when fear tightens your chest, when doubt clouds your decisions. Awareness is the doorway to control. It is the pause between stimulus and response, the space where choice exists. Every time you notice your mind reacting, you create an opportunity to intervene. This simple act is more powerful than any external tactic or tool because it directly rewires your mental habits and strengthens your resilience. Next comes intention. Calm is not passive, it is deliberate. Each breath you take, each word you speak, each action you choose can be guided by awareness and purpose. Instead of reacting to chaos, you respond with strategy. Instead of being swept away by emotion, you channel it into clarity. Over time, these deliberate choices compound. What was once a struggle becomes instinctive. Calm becomes your default setting, and your life begins to flow with a sense of mastery and presence that others envy and aspire to. Repetition is essential. Just as a muscle grows stronger with daily exercise, your mind grows stronger with each moment you practice composure. Every pause, every deep breath, every conscious response strengthens your mental resilience. The challenges you once feared now become opportunities to reinforce your calm, your clarity, and your confidence. Slowly, your reactions are no longer dictated by fear or pressure. They are shaped by purpose and inner strength. Finally, perspective completes the transformation. Calm allows you to see clearly what matters and what doesn't. It frees your energy for what you can influence and releases you from what you cannot. Your decisions become sharper, your presence steadier, and your life more aligned with your true potential. When you train your mind to be calm in every situation, you create an unshakable inner fortress. Chaos may rage outside, but inside, you are steady, confident, and free. This is your ultimate power. This is your choice. And this is where the life you've always imagined begins.